Now, and I just want to kind of just talk a little bit more about what we're talking about.
Right.
And this idea that these insurance companies are going out there and it's really becoming prevalent. Folks, if you're in an accident, do yourself a favor, pick up the phone, call us. If you think you're possibly hurt, right? We'll talk about it. If you're not hurt, you're not hurt. The reality is though that people oftentimes don't know the first day or two, or they're not sort of focused on it. And then what happens is they'll contact you, and let's talk about the nature of how that happens. So Amanda, sometimes what the insurance companies will do for the defendant is they'll pick up the phone, they'll call the person unsolicited, and I'll have a conversation. And a lot of times it starts out talking about property damage, right?
Right. I mean, that tends to be their focus because, they know most people get an attorney for the personal injury aspect, I think. So, they try to persuade you to kind of deal with it all in one lump sum, though, at the end of the conversation.
Right. And so they'll say something like, you'll be talking about, your car was hit in the rear, you have a lot of damage, you want to get it fixed. You may have collision on your car, but you may decide, you know what, I don't want to have to deal with my deductible, pay my deductible, and wait for my insurance company to get that back. So I'll go through the other carrier, which is okay. But the problem is when you open up that communication, and if the person on the other side of the phone isn't being transparent.
Right.
And they're not being transparent, they're not telling you that they're really trying to get you to start talking about your injuries.
Right.
And start getting it, greasing the skids for you to sign off for basically almost nothing.
Right.
And so if you're in an accident, pick up the phone and call us, okay? If it turns out and we're fine, if it turns out you're in an accident, but you didn't remember this conversation, turns out you really weren't injured. And we'll ask you questions about it. So we'll give you some direction in terms of how to handle the property damage aspect of it.
Right.
But many times we will get those calls and the clients are dealing with symptoms and they've never been in an accident before. They don't have a full understanding as to what occurred to them. And now you have an adjuster calling them, and sometimes the calls are repeated calls.
Yes.
And, I've had people saying, the person called me 10 times.
Yeah, and they kind of say to us, how do I deal with this at this point? And, that's when you need an attorney to come in and, handle it.
So what we want you to do is we want you to be protected from the beginning, folks. So if you have an accident, pick up the phone and call us. We'll talk to you about it, okay? We go with truth from beginning to end. So if it turns out that you weren't seriously injured or injured in a non-motor vehicle accident, we'll have that conversation with you, okay? And we'll tell you, this is what you should do as far as maybe on property damage or making a recovery for something other than personal injury. But if there is personal injury, we want to be able to talk to you about it. And the other thing that they'll do too is they'll record you on the phone. Now, I'm hoping on that other case that I just talked to you about, Amanda, I'm hoping that gentleman was recorded.
Right.
In fact, I'm going to make a request that the carrier save all of the tapes and all the recordings, because I know what it is to communicate with that gentleman, and I can tell that he doesn't understand English to a large extent.
Right.
And so that'll be helpful. But what they'll do too is they'll talk to you and start asking you questions and sort of lead the conversation about your injuries.
Right.
And Amanda, we've had people where the conversation is such where the carrier is trying to make it and say to this person, well, you really don't have something that could be compensated. So sort of convince them of something.
Right. Well, you're not really that hurt, blah, blah, blah. We could just deal with this now.
Yeah, we'll just deal with it, and we'll just send you 1/1000th of what the case is worth. So don't fall for that, folks. Don't fall for it. And, if we sound annoyed about it, we are annoyed about it, okay? Because it's not right. They're taking advantage, and it needs to stop. We've had other situations where the same exact thing happened. But, I was hoping that we'd hear less of it, but we're hearing more of it.
Yes, definitely.
And there has to be consumer protection, okay? And protection of the public, and there isn't right now. And we got to wake up sleepy Albany. Sleepy Albany's got to wake up. And, maybe they don't know about it. Maybe they're not thinking about it. But if it was one of their loved ones and their loved ones were injured and somebody was in the same situation, someone took advantage, they would want a legislator, if they weren't one, to step up and say, something's got to stop you. Okay, whether it's through the insurance regulations or whether through the law. So we're really going to push for that, and we're going to keep on talking about it. And this is across the board for whatever insurance company. You know, they want to make sure they say that there's transparency and there's honesty within the process. We believe that. We don't believe anyone should bring a claim that's not honest or truthful. There's no less fraudulent activity occurring on the other side of it.
Right. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to pick up the phone and call us. Like Ken said, if you don't really have an injury, then that's, something we discuss. But don't let yourself get taken advantage of. Do what's best for you in the beginning and just, give us a call. Let us figure it out.
And call us at 631-654-4900. You can call us at any time. Get us on the web at myinjuryli.com. You can chat with us online. That's myinjuryli.com. I'll call 631-654-4900. It'd be our privilege to fight, get you justice, and our privilege to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Okay, so we'll see you on the other side.